what's the most money you paying for a haircut?
$30. Now, if it's a house call, probably 100. Nah, 150. I feel like the premium now with barbers, I feel like they be overkill. Ain't no way I'm getting a regular low taper, a regular fade, and the cut $50. What are we doing?
When I was in Miami, he paid say celebrity barber. I'm like, alright. I done seen a couple rappers or whatever he done cut. So yeah, man, you know, I'm like that. First of all, fam, if you really cutting hair, and everybody know this, man, if you really how you supposed to be with the clippers, man, you ain't pulling out no black spray. I see you go like this and the compressor wake up, I don't even need you to cut me, boss. After I get the cut, you ready to pull out the black spray. I said, oh nah, boss, I don't use that. So I bet, man, you done. I said, man, I appreciate your time, so I'm gonna tip you a little extra, man. How much it is? You know, it's just 300. In fact, I said, huh? It's just 300. I ain't gonna lie, fam. You gotta get that in blood. But 300? And you was just finna pull out the black spray? If I end up talking them down to 150, my homeboy say, I don't need a cut no more.
Bro, 150 talk down for that's so okay, you cut the price in half, but $300 for a haircut is crazy, right? And a lot of times they be pulling out the black spray like he said, and they didn't even ask for that. Sometimes they just let it happen because who knows, maybe they'll like the enhancement or whatever the term is. You know, we just call it black spray. But it's like, okay, you cut a celebrity's hair and a celebrity can pay you that, you know, and more with a tip. But that's not common everywhere. And celebrities can only get their hair cut so often, right? And let's be real. This all started during the pandemic, right? Where all the barbershops were closed. They were mandated to be closed and nobody could get a haircut, right? And people were walking around looking really, really rough. So when somebody said they'll do a house call or, hey man, you know, we risking it right now. You can pull up, we'll open the doors. And they were charging a premium for that. And, you know, all these years later, the premium still exists. And that's just the climate that we're in. And then you have these guys on social media selling courses and encouraging people to raise their prices as well. Because guess what? The price of everything else is going up. And we get it. But that's an expense that you can list it as an expense for your business, right? You know how it go. So it's like you can't really push that on your clients, especially if you're still trying to grow your client base, right? Now look, I remember going to a barber where there was a black barber and then there was a Middle Eastern barber, right? And then in the other half of the place, it was a salon. It was inside of a mall, right? And I was looking for a new barber, so I said, let me check them out, right? So there was like 3 guys waiting for the black barber, and like 3-4 guys waiting for the Middle Eastern barber. You know how I go, like you go to your guy, right? So I'm just there waiting, and then I noticed the black barber was charging like 25 or whatever. I was like, all right, that's cool. And the cuts were looking all right, you know, everybody was getting Caesars, low, mid tapers, lineups, whatever. And then the Middle Eastern guy, he was taking a little bit longer with his clients. He was putting a little bit more effort because I noticed like he was pulling out like a warm cloth. He was putting it on their face. And, you know, he was doing something with their eyebrows. Like, I don't know, he was just doing a little extra, right? And the cut cost a little bit more. And it was justified. He's not just giving you a fade and a lineup. He's going above and beyond providing a service that's worth the extra whatever it was, $10, $15, $20. And I just feel like that's the way that it should be if you're going to keep these inflated prices for haircuts, right? $25 is totally normal. It's $15, $10 more than what it used to be, let's just say 10 years ago, right? But with inflation, let's be reasonable, right? But $80 is what I'm hearing is the norm. $80. Like I've seen really good barbers in the United States that are charging $40, $50 for a haircut. And when you go look at their work, they are putting in time, they're putting in effort, and they're really good at what they do. And they can justify that price, right? And they're not even travel barbers. People go to see them at their spot, right? But when I see all these people charging $100, $80, and it's double than this premium, well, I think it's premium, right? That what these quality guys are doing out their shop is crazy. And what I think is going to happen is a lot of people are going to try to cut their own hair and they're going to look up tutorials on YouTube. Watch this right here. You see this right here? This line right here, a lot of people can't even get this line right. But once they get that line right and they figure out a way to keep it straight, whether you got to get a template off Amazon, whatever, look at that. You get your 1 inch or ½ inch, you fade it up. You know, if you go and you get this tool from, let's just say, I don't know, like Walmart or something, you can get a wall clipper for, let me not be let's say like $40, $50, $60 on the high end, right? And then you get your little lineup tool. It doesn't have to be top of the line, you know, like an Andis T outliner or something like that. Get something to get your lineup going, you know, and then just work it out, figure it out on YouTube. And it's a trial and error. Like, do it on a weekend where you don't have nothing going on. There's no parties, there's no graduations, you know, it's not Thanksgiving. And if you mess it up, just go lower. You know what I mean? Like, do everything at like a level 1.5. And if it gets messed up, go to a 0.5, the whole head, low Caesar. And then just line it up, come back in 3-4 weeks and try again. And then eventually, if you're nice with it, then this could be your new way of cutting your hair. And get the mirrors. Like, for instance, look at this here. The only other thing that you might need is a mirror and some scissors, right? Depending on the hair texture, right? Of course. Now look what bro's doing over here. This is looking clean already, and he's just getting started. Do your behind the ear, you know, get your scissors, get it right, get your fade proper. You know, the most important is that line up at the back, because that's got to be crispy, and then obviously at the front, right underneath, right, what he's got going on right there. This is not difficult. This is not difficult. Now, the first couple of times it's gonna maybe take him like an hour, 15, hour and a half. But at some point, let me know down in the comments below if you've ever cut your own hair. How long does it take for you to cut your hair? It probably takes like, let me not exaggerate, probably takes like 30 to 45 minutes, like on a routine. And it's not like you're doing nothing crazy with the fade every time. And it's like, if you touch it up, you know, like let's say you go to the barber like every 2 weeks. Like when you do it this way, all you have to do is do your fade every maybe once a month, 3 weeks tops, and then get your lineup proper. This is what I think is going on. And a lot of these barbers, it's not going to last. You're not going to consistently charge $80, $100 for a haircut, and people are starting to figure it out, because the women will always be in the salon. You know, they need a little bit extra TLC, and you know, the wash, the style, and all that, right? But this, brothers, yeah, guys can do this, and I believe that they're going to start. And the barbershops, I'm not going to lie, like the barbershops are not full. The barbershops are not full. They're not empty, but they're not full. And people are starting to realize, you know, I need to give this a shot. Because think about it like this. Even if the haircut is $30, why is a guy going to pay a barber $30 to give him a pushback? You know what I mean? He's going to leave and he's going to be like, bro, I went for a lineup. This man pushed me back, bro. How much he charged you? $30. You could push yourself. You could give yourself a pushback for free. Right? And then figure it out next time. And you'll be less upset. You'll be upset at yourself. And then the next time, and then the next time, and then the next time, you'll get it better and you'll get it right. I'm telling you, like, the only thing that I would say would keep somebody from learning to do this themselves is, you know, some people have 2 left hands and they're just not coordinated. They can't figure it out. Or just you like the convenience, right? You like the convenience of having somebody else do something to save you time and the effort. Right? I'm not gonna lie, your arm might be hurting you after a while, but as you get used to it, and if you're in the gym, you're not gonna be complaining about, oh, my arm hurts. Give it a shot. You ain't got nothing to lose. And barbers, y'all tripping. We don't care how much your clippers cost. You wildin', that's a business expense. But let me know in the comments below what you think. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.